Now the report card on the defense. Corey's going to come on up from Memphis. Let's go. Let's go, Corey. The report card for the defense. Defense better than the offense? Well, I give the defense overall a D. I would say that this is a harsh grade. It is a harsh grade. Now, I gave the defense an F when I looked at it. I said, all right, what's the defense? I give them an F against Texas. Texas came out, missed that first field goal. They had the flag and everything on that first one, and then they missed a field goal. But then they went touchdown, field goal, touchdown against the Michigan defense. And that 24-3 at the half, that game was over. And, that was on the defense. Now, the offense didn't do anything either. They went punt, field goal, 3 and out, fumble, interception. That's how it went. It went punt, field goal, interception, fumble for Michigan in the first half against Texas. That was the offense, but the defense, they get an F in that game. USC, and I give them an A in the first half against USC, but the second half dragged that down a little bit. I do credit the Michigan defense with making the final plays when USC, there's some time left on the clock. It was bad clock management by throwing on that. Was it the second down or third down? I forget, but that enabled USC to have time to get down and potentially kick a field goal in just a 3-point game. So that was a hairy situation, but that's not on the defense. The defense had to make some plays, and they did there at the end. So they get a passing grade against USC. Minnesota, Michigan was up 24-3, as we all know, heading into the fourth quarter against the Gophers. And then Orgy threw the interception, and then there was a big punt return on special teams. I know Hadley wanted to give a big special team shout out. Certainly Zavada. I don't know. Am I giving Doman? Doman, I'm not giving him an A. Maybe a B minus if I was just thinking it. I'd have to look at all of those. But there were some big spots for Tommy Doman, which felt like he came up a little bit short with his leg. But my point was, going back to Minnesota, the offense and the special teams put the Michigan defense in a bad spot. Certainly the tempo, and then there was the, helter-skelter, the onside kicks, controversial and all that, but they hung on and they won that game. And then against Washington, I don't know, they needed to, and again, you had a fumble and an interception late by the offense, but you needed to, if Michigan was going to win that game, you needed to keep Washington, it felt like under 24 points. I don't know. So, but I give them a D. A lot of it, I think about, the talent, and now moving forward, the secondary has been bad. There's really no other way around that. Will Johnson's a good player, and Jair Hill has had his moments, but he has also had those on the other side. And I say the same thing about Zeke Berry. Sometimes like, hey, Zeke Berry, a playmaker. Then other times like, wow, he looks like he's out of position. Page the same way. Right down the list with all the guys in the secondary, it's been they've underperformed, underwhelming. They look like, just by watching them, that they don't have the greatest fundamentals. And they're not very good communicating the defense. And it doesn't feel like overall it's well coordinated, especially talking about the guys standing up on the defense. And the depth doesn't look that hot. That does go back to the coordinator. And for Wink, this is how it goes when you have what looks like some talent out there and you come in and you have a resume like Wink. And so let's just look at the numbers for Wink here. Here's the scoring defense up to date today in college football. Ohio State, statistically, with scoring defense, has the best defense in the country, giving up under 7 points a game. I put some other noteworthy games on here and how good the defenses are, at least through 6 games. Illinois is at number 12. That's noteworthy. That's Michigan's next opponent. Indiana, they've been doing so well on offense. But look at them on defense. They are doing pretty good on defense, too. number 14 in the country. Oregon, number 21. Michigan, number 56, checking in. And then when you give a lot, much is expected. And I have the list of the highest paid defensive coordinators in all of college football for 2024. The highest paid defensive coordinator in the country is Blake Baker, LSU's DC. He gets $2.5 million. That's more than most of the head coaches in college football. But number 2 on that list of highest paid defensive coordinators in all of college football is Michigan's Wink Martindale, who checks in with a big $2.3 million. Jim Knowles, who has that best defense over there, he's thinking, I want to get paid. Well, if they take it the distance, Knowles probably will get a big bump, and they all will. So considering what Wink's getting paid, I put that equation in, how Michigan's performed all the way through, that's why I give him a D. A D for defense. It's just not what you want. It's been a D for disappointment. And that's it. Now, it feels like, I'm bagging on Michigan, but it's tough when you get the grades and you look and turn the paper over and you're, maybe hoping for a C or something. You want to get some C's out there? It's not really a great passing game or passing report. That's how I'm looking at it when it came down to it. So there it is. Let's look at some of the feedback when it comes down to it. Corey, D for defense. He understands. Ron asking me a question, what position group do I think needs the most improvement? Well, I'd say offensive line. Is the position group quarterback? I would say quarterback, offensive line, corners, safeties. If you want to just say, let me try it again so I can boil it down, make it a little bit quicker. They need a better play from the quarterback. They need a better offensive line, and they need a better secondary. Those are the top 3. If we want to continue after that, there's only so many position groups. I would look at the linebackers, and then it's not a position group, but the overall depth on defense. Excuse me. Seems like Michigan's been, I don't know if it's exposed there. It's been illuminating that Michigan, you could say, well, their strength and conditioning isn't as good, or they don't have the depth overall on defense. And if you look, nobody's really jumping out. Like, we know the Mason Grahams and the Kenneth Grants and TJ Guy has been nice in depth, and he's had to step up when Josiah Stewart or Derek Moore, those guys have been good. And so the edge position, but after that, is there anybody that you're going, Cameron Brandt has been playing a lot, but he doesn't flash where in a good way where you watch him say, oh yeah. And I don't know, are there any of the, Rashawn Benny's good, but are there any other defensive linemen that you're looking at that have come in and you say, oh yeah, this guy's, no, there's nobody like that. Linebackers the same way. I feel bad for myself. No, I should apologize. I thought Jayshon Barham, I bought into the hype. I thought he was going to be all Big Ten, maybe all American. I was expecting him to perform a lot better, and he's been meh. Maybe a little bit better than mid. I don't know. Mid makes you sound like you're bad, but so I don't know, a little bit better than that. And Hausman's the same way. Like, he's okay. He had the pick last game, but the linebacker play after, Rolder plays a little bit. Hood got in for a play or two. There's not a lot there. How many snaps can you play those guys? I don't have any depth at linebacker. And then, like I said, the secondary, it's not a lot of fun. Yeah, not a lot of fun to go through all that. So now we look towards the second half and what possibly could happen. Yeah, I've already been over this, Corey. The wide receivers, when you don't have a quarterback that the defensive backs are worried about, you're not getting open. Nobody's throwing the ball. Maybe the wide receivers aren't worth anything, but When I feel like people say that the wide receivers aren't getting open, give me a good quarterback. When Tuttle was in there, guys looked like they were getting open just fine. And the guys looked like they were running their routes just fine. The quarterback was throwing the ball. When Samaj Morgan was going for 16 yards, it wasn't any precise route or any kind of scheme. He just threw it to him. When Amarian Walker cut in 20 yards down the field, there was no Jerry Rice kind of route. There wasn't any route tree that, somebody was drawing up all week, scheming them open. No, it wasn't. The guy just ran down the field, cut in, and then Tuttle put the ball on him, like you're supposed to do as a competent quarterback. And so that's it. Again, I don't know why it makes me yell. So I think it does trigger me when talking about the wide receivers and, a quarterback play. It's hard. You're so dependent on the offensive line and the quarterback when you're wide receivers. And people say, well, they don't have a number one. Well, yeah, they do. They do have a number one. His name's Colston Loveland. He would be the number one pass catcher, maybe on every team, certainly on almost every team in college football. So they do have a number one pass catcher. They say, well, technically he's a tight end. Yeah, well, technically. But obviously, he's like a wide receiver, would be my point. And he is demanding double teams. And so if I'm a quarterback and I'm a coach and I know the other team is just they're saying, oh, man, I'm going to put number 18 up on the board when we're talking about defending the pass for Michigan. Well, sometimes I'm using Colston Loveland to get these other guys open. Throw them the ball. Target them. I don't know, so I will give everyone this. If you're adamant about that they don't run really good routes and they don't get open or they're not talented, I'll give you this. I haven't gone to the games this year. And if you're somebody that goes to the games and you're like talking to your friend and you're like, look, these guys just aren't getting open. Again, I think the defense can just sit in their back pocket because they're not worried about the ball going over their head. But I give that to you when you're at the game. That is one of the things that you really are able to see that you're not really able to get a good feel for just watching the television copy. So I'll give that to you if you're somebody like Corey that's going through that. Toby's overall a little bit more optimistic than me, going a D+. Although he's specifically going to the defensive coordinator and marking him down, which I understand.